called Roadrunner, a film about Anthony Bourdain, and it's in theaters today. As you know, he tragically died from suicide in 2018, but he's the narrator through much of this documentary, and this documentary is from an Oscar-winning director, Morgan Neville, who also did, I believe, 10 Feet from Stardom. I believe that's the name of the documentary about backup singers, or 20 Feet from Stardom. Great documentary. I'm huge into documentaries, so I cannot wait to see this. And I think I'm going to go to the theaters to see this because I've been going back to movie theaters and it is glorious. So what's interesting about this is that they started using AI in order to create deepfakes of Bourdain's voice for key moments in the film where they didn't have him saying something. And there's all these great documentary techniques. If you've ever seen The Kid Stays in the Picture, they might do animations or take pictures and blur them, or Ken Burns will pan across an old photo. There's all these great techniques to take boring documentaries that are told typically through stock footage or just static images or people basically recounting stories. And now we have a new one in the toolkit, and it's a little bit concerning to some people, but I think I'm falling on being delighted by this. So there is a section, and this comes from a New Yorker profile written by Helen Rosner, and she asked Neville where he got the audio from. And according to the article, there's a moment in the film where a friend of Bourdain's is reading an email sent to him from Bourdain. And Bourdain was known as being a great friend to a lot of people, and that makes his suicide even more tragic. If you are thinking of taking this terrible step, please call your friends. They want you in the world. I mean, I think losing Anthony Bourdain is just so brutal. He was just such an amazing human being on so many levels. But in the email, Bourdain writes, "You are successful, and I am successful. And I'm wondering, are you happy?" Wow. I mean, that is a deep comment. And I think it speaks to what a lot of people who are successful go through, which is sometimes you're on the journey and climbing the mountain and trying to get to a certain destination, whether that's wealth, fame, love, happiness. You kind of get there and you wonder, am I actually happy? Well, here's the quote from the article. There were 3 quotes there I wanted his voice for that there were no recordings of, Neville explained. So he got in touch with a software company, gave it about a dozen hours of recordings, and he said, I created an AI model for his voice. Oh my God, this is amazing. And if you've been on TikTok recently and you've seen the person who does imitations of Tom Cruise, we're crossing the uncanny valley. If you don't know what the uncanny valley is, that's the point at which these AIs and deepfakes, in this referencing deepfake specifically, it's when your mind believes you're actually hearing that person. In other words, you can't tell. The uncanny valley is more about AI and sentient lives. You can look it up online. But in this case, it means, did you buy it? Did you actually think it was Anthony Bourdain? And so let's listen to the clip, and I'll make some comments about it.
You were successful, and I am successful, and I'm wondering, are you happy?
Okay, now I'm just going to play it again, and I'm going to play it at a lower volume here while I talk over it.
I'm wondering, are you happy?
It does sound a little robotic on the margins. You can hear that tinniness, but boy, if
Are you happy?
I saw this in a actual trailer, and I did watch the trailer actually, and I didn't pick this up, and that means it crossed the uncanny valley. Other moments of uncanny valley that may have not crossed for you. Scorsese did The Irishman, and they made everybody look younger. That was clearly did not cross the valley for me. But Luke Skywalker in The Mandalorian, spoiler alert, Luke Skywalker shows up in the Return of the Jedi kind of format, post Return of the Jedi. I bought it. Maybe I wanted to buy it, and so that's part of this. But here we go. We're now at a point where a dead person could be in a film, or a younger version of a person. And just closing the loop on this great article that found this nugget. So congratulations to the reporter who actually figured out that this, he asked a really good question, like, where did you get these clips? If you watch the film, other than that line you mentioned, you probably don't know what the other lines are that were spoken by the AI, and you're not going to know, Neville says. We can have a documentary ethics panel about it later. And that's one of the things about documentary films, because they are an interpretation by a filmmaker of a subject, they have very loose rules. That's why you'll see, in a narrative film based on a true story, kind of gives them a little bit of ability to wiggle around. Is this actually happened? Did these conversations happen? Anyway, I think this is amazing. I think Bourdain would love the fact that, they did this and you could actually hear his voice say things and it had more resonance. Of course, you could use this in a cheesy way and you could do it in a disrespectful way. But this is the world, right? And I think about all the wonderful possibilities here. It would have been amazing to see Heath Ledger's Joker again. Now, is it disrespectful or is it an homage or is it honorable to bring him back? I think it's honorable to bring him back. And I would love to see Philip Seymour Hoffman, do a comedic role again. I mean, talk about a tragedy. Again, another overdose. Just these artists overdosing is just so tragic. But you remember Along Came Polly, the amazing Ben Stiller film, and a lot of people say that I play basketball like him, and the rain dance scenes, amazing. Maybe we can drop one into the YouTube video here without getting in copyright trouble. Put it in a little box and tilt it, and you zoom in on it, and we'll probably get past the YouTube censors. But wouldn't it be amazing to see him do a spin out of that film? I think they were always thinking about having that child actor do another film, and just putting it out there. If somebody out there is an AI specialist and they think that this is as intriguing as I think it is, I would love to back a music startup. I'm just thinking about music right now. I would love to back a music startup where I could say, I want to hear Mark Knopfler of Dire Straits cover Wish You Were Here by Pink Floyd. I would like to hear Pink Floyd and Roger Waters cover this Dylan track, Tangled Up in Blue. This could be an amazing unlock for creativity to be able, and art, to be able to do mashups. Now, some people might consider this sacrilegious or, against some human purity test. But the way I look at it is we created the AI. We should get to benefit from it. And what an amazing startup that would be if we could take people's voices and artwork and IP and reinterpret them, even if it was a tool. I mean, if you came out with a tool that allowed somebody to put in a bunch of videos or a bunch of audio and then let the user, take ownership of exporting that IP, that would take you out of the IP business. Or you could be in the IP business and create this technology and then go to an estate and say, hey, Elvis Presley estate, we would like to make these 10 tracks of the Elvis AI singing these 10 songs. Would that be interesting to you? We live in the future and I love it. So give me some startup ideas, people. I got checks. I got money sitting here. I want to invest in some crazy. Let's go. Over the past few years, everybody's been talking about no-code. And one of the first no-code apps was Bubble. You've heard of Bubble. Bubble empowers people to design and launch their own apps, marketplaces, or tools without ever needing coding skills or pricey engineers. Bubble offers a digital editor and cloud hosting platform for as little as $29 a month. Users can build pretty much any complex web app, from marketplaces to social networks to SaaS and more. So why is Bubble so great for founders? Because you can spend 10 times less on building out your MVP, your minimum viable product. I have so many people come to me and say, hey, JCal, give me money. I want to build this. And I'm like, have you built an MVP? And they're like, no, I don't have a developer. I'm like, well, use Bubble, use no code, drag and drop elements in their visual editor, and you can quickly and easily build a powerful app. You can go from idea to a launchable product in a matter of days or weeks, not months or quarters or even years. And they handle all the annoying stuff like the deployment and hosting of your app so you can focus on your product and your customers. Bubble has over 1 million users worldwide, and they enable over 1 billion in business volume. Bubble is offering 1 month free on any of their paid plans, ranging from their personal plan of $29 a month all the way to their production plan of $529 a month. But act fast because they're only offering this deal to the first 500 redemptions. Again, head to bubble.io/twist, bubble.io/twist, and snag one of those 500 coupons for your first month free.